A couple of months ago, you might have seen this.
Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
If you know what that is, then you'll know that this is coming from a TV show called The Newsroom. Now, whether or not you agree with it or not, that's beside the point. What I'm here to talk about is the show itself. And the question is that any good? The Newsroom Season One. Now, to be honest with you, I'm not a very political person. I really don't like touching that stuff, any more than I like watching political thrilling shows, even though 24 is one of my favorite shows of all time. Now, considering the fact that this is very politically oriented and very heavily based off of what news is, I'd have to say this is probably one of the more thrilling aspects in seeing what, a newsroom has going on before you see them on the screen here at home, phones, or anything like that. So the show stars Jeff Daniels as Will McAvoy, and he's that middleman in between. He's always the best of both worlds, but he's very difficult to work with. And also people have considered him not just only hard to work with, but he doesn't reside on one side or the other in the political debates. He doesn't like to offend anyone. So the pilot episode actually does start with that very same scene that everyone has made so popular now. Why is America not the greatest country in the world anymore?
It's not the greatest country in the world, Professor. That's my answer.
He goes in a full-on vent to everybody in that college.
Worst period, generation, period, ever, period.
And in result, he disappears for 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, he comes back only to find out his entire staff is gone off to some other random Joe that he actually works with, but he actually kind of sort of respects, He's like, yeah, you're a great guy, but what the hell happened? And to turn his world upside down even more, his ex-girlfriend, Mackenzie McHale, she comes in and she's like, listen, your news is great, but guess what? I've got a better idea, let's make it better. And he's like, no, I don't want to make anything better. I just want to keep the way it is. Did anyone care about what I said 2-3 weeks ago? Does anyone care? And it does go back and forth. What he said in his big old vent and blowout was very affecting. And now that he's here, he has to deal with a little bit of the repercussions of that, and also his own personal life with somebody coming in going, hey, let's change things around. Now, from the get-go, I could say that's just only in the pilot episode, and the rest of the episodes follow is only 10 episodes, and they're all covering something that actually happened in this world today. That may be hard to follow for some people. You're not quite sure exactly what happened on these days, but they tell you in dates in the show itself when this all took place. When Will McAvoy decides to not be that middleman anymore and actually say, hey, you got this wrong to any guest speaker that comes in, that causes a lot of backlash. After said backlash, even the higher-ups are like, he's got to tone it down. This is not going to be good. And, of course, he doesn't. And for, like, the next 6 months, things get really, really bad. Will McAvoy himself ends up getting in little things that were made up. Like, if this was a situation that Will McAvoy went through, it was turned into this. And then from this, the higher-ups just eat it up. And they're like, well, make it bigger because we want to get rid of him. He's not toning it down. And, of course, you have Mackenzie McHale just trying to work her way in to either gain respect with all of her fellow peers. She's really battling against everything that Will kind of sets up against her as well, because they just keep clashing throughout all 10 episodes. And it's hilarious, and it's funny, and it's sometimes annoying. Everyone's got their own little personal sides, and everything goes on. Either it's in the newsroom itself, behind the scenes, or in their personal life. And they all kind of just blend into one. If there's anything I can praise, is its wit, its heart, and there is so much greatness in this show. There's so much to comment on. It's just phenomenal on how much thought has gone into the dialogue and the situations and the character motivations. It's really fascinating to watch. And the scenes just keep moving. There's barely ever a dull moment. Sometimes you kind of get a little exhausted after a point. You're just like, Okay, there's only one problem, and that is sometimes the scenes and situations can go on for a little too long. Meaning, there could be a dialogue scene, and especially in the first episode alone, we have Mackenzie McHale and Will McAvoy just talking in the same room for the next 15 minutes, while something else is going on outside while they're dealing with the BP spill. These two are just talking and talking and talking. You're like, okay, now that is the end of the scene. Oh my god, no, she turned around and started talking to more. Why? There's not a whole lot wrong with it, so much as that it actually tries to make a statement and it makes it, well, but it's rather pretentious at points. You might have to warm up to it a little bit, but I can't get past the fact that this whole thing is energetic from the get-go. Everybody gives it their all. It's just genuine performance as hell. I dig the shit out of it. This is a really good show that people should pick up on. Not necessarily for the political quips that people have, because God knows that everyone's either agreed or disagreed with why America is not the greatest country in the world anymore. That shit's on YouTube. Look it up. It's going to be the worst or the best 8 minutes of your life. But the show itself is so much better than that. There is so much behind it. There are many more rants just like it behind it, where they're just like, you know, hey, we've got something to say, we're going to do this, So anyway, wrapping this up, I would definitely say check out the Newsroom, but that's only if you're into political intrigue of the newsroom itself, the people that take the news and they know that there's information out there and they really want to tell the people. And for that, I would definitely give the Newsroom Season 1 a B+. I'm actually looking forward to seeing Season 2, which I'm going to do eventually, but in that time, I have other shows to watch, and I like to broaden my horizons. Have you guys seen the clip itself of why America's not the greatest country in the world anymore? Have you seen the Newsroom? Tell me your praises, tell me your woes, all down below. Subscribe, and let me know what you'd like me to review next. Until next time.